Hey everybody, KMO here. Hey, Rubber's already in the chat. Well, guess what, Rubber? You rule, man. For real, literally. As in, no guests, nothing teed up. So I'm just answering the chat, and if the chat goes cold, we're going to read our Buttcoin. So, what's on your mind, Rubber? While you type your question, I'll talk about the big change in my world. My world is a very small world. It mostly consists of what happens in my apartment because, you know, that's where I work, it's where I sleep, it's where I watch TV, where I talk to my girlfriend on WhatsApp. And a daily, or at least 5-day week, no, it's actually 7 days a week, or it was, appointment that I had started at 10:30 with Rising. And Crystal and Sauger have left Rising. So there was a almost tearful. Sauger was, his voice was breaking as he was talking about how, you know, what fond memories he has of Rising on Friday when they announced that they were leaving. And then today I watched Rising, and what was it? Grimm, first name. Two regular hosts, or two regular guests were hosting today. And Ryan Grimm is who I'm thinking of. And he was saying, yeah, absolutely. You know, definitely keep watching Rising because we're going to do what Crystal and Sauger were doing. We're going to tell the truth. We're going to challenge power. We're going to be real. And you should go watch Crystal and Sauger's new show. You know, it's a growing populist media ecosphere. There's room for everybody, but there's not. There's not room in my brain, and there's not room in my day for twice as much media. You know, twice as much news media. And I was actually getting to the point with Rising where I felt guilty watching it because I agreed with so much of what they were saying that it really seemed like I was going there just to have somebody articulate my own beliefs for me, which, you know, is, I think that's a weakness. I think that's a bad habit. Alrighty, so Taco Tuesday is KMO live streaming day, says Rubber. I'm reading up on scything and will be ordering from Scythe Supply. Gotta give them my measurements. I would love to see some video of you cutting the grass with a scythe. I watch more TV at work than at home, says Hikane. Mm-mm-mm. You know, is it watching TV if you're just watching YouTube on your TV? Because that's mostly what I do. Hikane is shaking his head. No, it's not actually watching TV. Well, what does it mean to watch TV then? I mean, is watching Amazon Prime TV? Is watching Disney Plus TV? I mean, mostly what I watch is YouTube. I just got rid of Netflix. I subscribe to Netflix at least once every 10 months, so they keep my watch history. But usually I'll pay for a month. It doesn't take a month to watch everything on there that I want to see that I haven't seen already, and then I unsubscribe. And so I just recently unsubscribed. I still have access to it, and I'm watching Eden, which is a Netflix anime original. Colin, you watching that? No? Heard of it? Colin's an anime guy. Alrighty. Wow, I knew you should be on Rising. Was expecting it eventually. You know, I could totally go for that. Even now that Crystal and Sagar are gone. But let me complete that story. So Sagar, makes his tearful goodbyes on Friday, talking about how much he loved Rising, what a great opportunity it was. And clearly it was a great opportunity for him and for Crystal. Today, Ryan Grimm is saying, yeah, there's room for everybody. Definitely keep watching Rising because we're going to do what they were doing, but also go and watch what they're doing, on their own show. And I'm like, something's got to give. I can't watch all that. And then I watched, Crystal and Sagar, they each had a podcast. And part of their deal with Rising or with The Hill was they could never mention their podcasts. So Marshall Koslov is Sagar's podcasting co-host, and Marshall was on all the time. He was on Rising all the time, and they never could mention that they did a podcast together. And Kyle Kalinske does a podcast with Crystal Ball, and Kyle was on Rising all the time, and he could never mention, and Crystal could never mention that, hey, I talk to Kyle all the time on our podcast. They couldn't say that. So all four of them together are on Crystal and Kyle's podcast, I think, today. And Friday was the tearful, oh, we love The Hill, we love our time at Rising, it was so wonderful. And today is but they wouldn't let us do this, they wouldn't let us do that. We had to be, really mindful of clicks. We had every segment had to be over 8 minutes, so there could be 2 commercial breaks. We had, clickbait headlines that we didn't like. And they're just, airing the dirty laundry about their time on The Hill today. And I'm not sure what I'm going to do in terms of I'll certainly check out the new show. And I don't imagine I'm not going to like it. I imagine that the things that they were complaining about today are things that probably did hamper their content a bit. And I am really looking forward to seeing what they do with the shackles off. But at the same time, I don't have time for all that. Let's see. Ben Rubber says, I've always wondered what the ownership train of Rising was. It was an interesting mainstream feeling show. Now, yeah, they commented on that. And, they've commented on it many times. They have a professional studio. They have multiple cameras, much like we have here. Colin, if you'll change the camera view just to demonstrate. Amazing. But since it's just me up here, doesn't make all that much difference. But Sagar wears a suit. Crystal's always well dressed. They have the professional lighting. They have a crew. It's all very professionally organized. And for some people, that's a turnoff. But for a lot of people, that's a turn on. Because, they have short segments. They look very professional. They're clearly, shot in a professional setting. But it's content that runs completely counter to what you're getting on Fox or MSNBC or, whatever, CNN. It looks like cable news, but the programming is antithetical to cable news. So people who wanted to sort of, slip a meme past the defenses of their crazy uncle or whatever could send a Rising segment via emails. Somebody would start watching. They would see all the visual cues of, yes, this is corporate professional news. This isn't, it's not even like somebody on YouTube selling some product trying to look like professional news. Because, the eye can catch that too. This is the real thing. And so, people would listen to that where they wouldn't listen to, say, a Joe Rogan segment. Not that Joe Rogan needs any help, reaching young, impressionable minds. But, it was kind of a stealth mode for them. I don't know if they're going to continue in that vein, though. Like, I don't really remember what they were wearing on the show they did today, because mostly I was drawing while I was listening to it. All right. What else we got here? Lesic from Poland writes, I'm glad no one actually listens because I'm too abrasive. Did I miss an entry from Les there? Is that your hello? Ben Rubber says, shareholder value gobbling up authenticity once again. Yeah, well, you got to make money. Everybody's got bills to pay. So I think they did an amazing job of compromising where necessary, but keeping it real where it counted. And I'm really curious to see where they go. They're going to do it 3 times a week. They think, Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday, which makes a lot of sense because, they got to get up at like 4 in the morning to get in there and start recording very early so they can get the segments put together and uploaded to YouTube and have them ready by 10:30. Crystal's got kids, they each have podcasts to do. I'm sure that the schedule was just brutal. So, and as I say, I don't have time to watch a daily show every single day. All right. Ben Rubber says, Benui, Benni, comma, W-E. Will ni good. Lesic. Oh, it's late in Poland. All right. You're forgiven. All right. What else? What else is new? Bitcoin. I do believe I've got the Bitcoin price chart here. Oh, that's not a very good one, though, is it? Let's see if we click on it. Will it get bigger? No. How about? All right. So here we are at 36,347. If it hadn't run up to 62,000 last month, that would be great. Where did we start the year? Let's see. This is not what I usually use to look at crypto prices or stock prices, but I don't want to be logged into my brokerage account here on the podcast. So back in December, it's around 23,000, 29,000 around the first of the year. So if it hadn't come way up here to 63, nobody would be complaining about 36. But where's it going to go? I don't know. I've been watching so much crypto material on YouTube. It's done a bad thing to my brain, I think. I absolutely need to go cold turkey on it for a bit. If I could start talking about the Wyckoff distribution patterns that people are spotting in the charts. Cardano, I feel really good about Cardano. Now, this isn't a price chart. Let's get a price chart for them. Come on. Is this Google? What search engine is this that can't figure out what I'm looking for here? I don't need to know how to buy it. Just show me the price, you thing. Alrighty. So look at this. Back at the first of the year. There we are. January 1st. It was at 18 cents. Now it's at $1.74, but it's been as high as $2 and something. That's a much bigger price increase, a much bigger price run up than Bitcoin has seen this year. If you'd put $1,000 in way down here, the first of the year, even if you didn't jump out at the top, even if you were just to jump out today, wow, that would be a very nice return. But, these coins, when they cost 10 cents, just jumping up to $5 is huge if you know where to get in at that time, but there's thousands of the damn things, How do you figure out which one is legit? I mean, one way to is just to see which ones go up in price and stay up in price. Lots of them, as soon as they get issued, people see a new coin, they buy it up. The price runs up really quickly, but then it falls back down again and it stays down forever. So I think in life in general, and obviously this is not financial advice, and you shouldn't take financial advice from somebody who's broke, right? So that's me. So the principle that I'm about to articulate is one that doesn't necessarily lead to optimal returns, but the principle is this. Look at personalities, look at people, listen to what they're saying, and decide for yourself if what they're saying is based on, goodwill and good intentions and hard work, or a desire to pump something up, make it seem like something it's not, buy it, pump it up, sell it, get out, and who cares what happens after that. Which is why I like Cardano or ADA. Charles Hoskinson, it's already at work. And it's not at work just, figuring out ways for people to trade one crypto token for another with lower fees or with less wait time. He's doing real stuff with real people in Africa. I forget which country it is. Is it Tanzania? I'm thinking it's one of the countries over on the eastern coast of Africa. He's working with the government to create a digital identity program using blockchain for all of the students and the teachers in the public school system. That's a real world application. That's not just some new fancy way of trading abstract tokens with other people who are really just there to speculate and try to make a buck. And so and I know about Cardano or ADA because a C-Realm podcast listener wrote to me a couple months ago, and because I'd been talking about trying to get into NFTs, and when I tried to do NFTs with Ethereum or Ether, it was going to cost me like $80 or $90 to mint a token. And he said, if you do it with Cardano, it's going to cost a lot less. So I bought a few Cardano and I tried it out, and I did it with one group, and it cost like $9. Still, that's 1/10 of what it would have cost with Ethereum. And then I hooked up with this other group that basically did it for free. They just wanted me to, use their service, and they created a website for me, and they would mint the tokens for free, and they do publicity for free. Now, it didn't really take off. I mean, it didn't sell much, and I'm not going to list any more with them until Cardano smart contracts go live, which will be later this summer. And once they go live, I think that the price of Cardano is going to go up again, which makes me want to invest in it. But really, it's like I had dealings today. I have no call-in guest today. So there's a guy on YouTube that I watch. Won't say who he is. But I thought, what the heck? I'll see if he wants to come on the live stream. So he puts out his WhatsApp number. I contacted him via WhatsApp. I said, hey, I'm going to be doing a live stream today. Would you like to be on? Don't have a huge audience on YouTube, but it'll be seen on community television in Vermont. And a totally respectable, legit thing to say would have been, no, sorry, can't make it, can't do it. Or even, to me, this would be kind of tacky, but even still honest, he would say, I appreciate the invitation, but you don't really have enough of an audience for it to be worth my time. Instead, he pastes in this obvious, pre-prepared block of text that says, this is the service that I provide for my customers and help them grow their business, whatever. It's obvious, it's just canned text. And then another follow-up message to that, are you ready to commit, ? And I thought, he doesn't know who he's talking to. He doesn't know who he's talking to. No, not like that. I just got the impression that he was juggling multiple conversations, and he was responding to me with something that was meant to go to somebody else. And so I just, I clarified, no, I'm contacting you about an interview. This is a media matter. And he wrote back and he said, if you want me to come on your live stream, it ain't free. Okay. Again, your outlet is too small to be worth my time would have been legit. But to say, sign up for my services and we'll talk about it, to me, that's kind of sleazy. So Not sure I'll be watching that guy anymore. All right, back to the chat. Let's see. Benarubber says, I felt like their shows themed heavily on, and today's installment of You Can't Do Nothing About What the Puppets Are Bullshitting About Today was great initially, but after a while it wore on me. Yeah, they definitely had a formula. And yeah, it was an appealing formula, but the repetition became obvious pretty quickly. I'm hoping that with, a less demanding schedule, just, doing 3 days a week, and of course I'm talking about Crystal and Sagar again here, we're off the Bitcoin thing. I'm hoping with, less time pressure, there'll be less repetition. I tweeted many months ago in response to somebody else, they said something about Rising, and I wrote, I agree. I like the show. I watch it every day. I am a little frustrated with how constrained it is. I wish that, they would branch out. And Sagar and Jetty liked my tweet, so he's on board. He agrees. He understands that with so much pressure, to create so much media so consistently, it's going to get repetitious. Lessick says, I have two important things to tackle, telepathy and UFOs. Yeah, UFOs. I mean, that's Sagar's into UFOs. I had Larry Lowe on here last week talking about UFOs. I guess I'll talk about that. Larry and I go back and forth. I mean, we've been talking about UFOs together for years. And Larry, every time there's UFOs in the news or UFOs, like there's a new show. One time there was a show on NBC, I think, called The Event. And we did a show about that. He thought that was some sort of prelude to an actual disclosure event where the government was trying to figure out a way to say to the world, hey, we know the aliens are here. We're in contact with them. We have pieces of spaceships, whatever, whatever they're supposedly keeping secret. And they're sort of warming up the public for this with shows that give you a fictionalized version. Maybe, but, with The Event, they fired the showrunner after just a few episodes, and the new showrunner took it in a completely different direction, which to me just makes it seem like, no, this is just a TV show, and the network is trying to make it work, and the first approach didn't work, so they changed it to try something else. It doesn't really seem like it's orchestrated. But even recently, I mean, what's made the news recently is former President Obama, admitting that the U.S. has had encounters with unidentified aerial phenomenon, but they don't know what it is. To me, I think maybe Sagar said this, or maybe Crystal said this just yesterday or last week on Rising. What's more important than anything you see on the news is what you don't see on the news. For me, everything that is on, that appears in news media is there to cover up the fact that they're not talking about something else. So to have military people, retired military people stand up in front of the camera and say, yes, we've known about these things, we've had encounters with these things, but not really provide any new information. To me, that's a non-event. And the more time that you spend on it, the more you are covering up, you're obscuring the view of another event, another story, another topic. So to me, and I wrote to Larry, I said, actually he wrote to me and he asked, how I thought it went. It was fine, but, my question to you, actually I asked him this on camera, was when the news is concerned with UFOs, but no new information is provided, what stories are they directing our gaze away from? And Larry didn't think that was the right question to ask. But to me, it's the primary question. If they're admitting that something really weird is going on, but they don't know what it is, I mean, are there people who believe that UFOs really are flying, they are alien craft of some kind, either from another star system or another dimension or, another occupant in the building, another tenant in the building, some other co-indigenous species that has evolved here on Earth before us, perhaps, maybe more recently than us, but, secretly. Is there anybody who thinks something that bizarre is going on and the government doesn't know anything at all? Maybe. But to me, that's not news. Like, there's something weird going on. We have very little data about it, but here, let us show you the tiny, tiny little bit that we have. Now, what's significant is for decades, there was a coordinated campaign by the Pentagon to belittle anybody who, showed any interest in this topic. Anybody who talked about it publicly, they were to be discredited. And so lots of people who had encounters didn't report them, kept them quiet. They just didn't need the hassle. And so now there's been a reversal of that policy. That's significant. I agree. But I'm still curious about, when they're filling airtime with this topic, what are they not talking about? Let's see. As of telepathy, I have nothing at this time to say about telepathy. Unless, here, I'm opening my mind if somebody wants to beam something to me. Yeah, I'm not getting anything. So, Hikane says, guy I like on Twitch started streaming 5 days a week and I can't keep up. Yep. Yeah, it's like the Joe Rogan experience. I only ever watch clips, except I watched all of his interview with Andrew Yang and all of his interview with Bernie Sanders and all of his interview with Tulsi Gabbard. But other than that, who's got 3 hours a day to spend on that? Dehenjo, or is it Dehenyo, writes, hi KMO and all, Dave J in Connecticut. I signed up for Crystal and Sagar's new show, Breaking Points. It'll be 3 days a week, and I'll still check out Rising. I support Ryan Grimm on Substack and think he's okay. Well, if you're putting your dollars, behind his text, then you probably think he's more than okay. Yeah, Ryan has broken some important stories, for sure. I like his perspective. Lesick says, I told you before, crypto is a flower like tulip. Or tuplip is what he's written, but yes. Here's the thing, man. It's absurd that somebody would trade a house for a tulip bulb. Somebody got that house, though. It may be madness. I'm not convinced it is madness. But, even if it is madness, there's no guarantee that we've hit bottom or that the end is tomorrow. Les says, this man has too much on his mind. Venerable writes, I would enjoy a conversation with Joe Norman and you. He harps on the silliness of Bitcoin on Twitter regularly. Y'all might mostly agree. Yeah. Now there's Bitcoin, which is basically only successful because it's a brand name, but it doesn't really do anything. The newer coins are all representations of functions, in the crypto space. So I'm not a big Bitcoin fan. When I'm talking about crypto, right now my interest is mainly in Cardano, Ethereum. Oh, what's the super secret one? Monero and Polygon, formerly Matic. But, those all do something. Now, other than Cardano, they all do something which is really strictly only it's only involved with, crypto stuff. It's a very insular universe. It's not doing anything for normal people yet. And I'm not convinced that it ever will. But they claim that that's the direction they're working in, and I don't think it can be dismissed out of hand just yet. Let's see. Ben Rubber also writes, also, in regard to your recent couple posts on Buttcoin, which you can find, I think they're public posts on my Patreon, patreon.com/KMO. Also, in regard to your recent couple posts on Buttcoin, it reminded me of a often referenced book by John Kenneth Galbraith about the 29 stock market crash. Curious how that compares to Bitcoin hype. Yeah, and I cannot answer or speak to that right off the top of my head. I would have to do some reading. Often referenced by John Michael Greer. Lesick writes, I follow KMO's advice because I do the opposite. No offense, mate. Yes, so I say operate according to values, and Les says I'll do the opposite, and Les definitely has more money than I do. All right, Les continues. I'm not smart, though. There's a lot of luck to life, I think. At least to the ones not born to smars. I don't know what smars are. Lesick says, KMO got old fast, don't you guys think? Am I looking old? I think it's just the weight gain. It's the my gym closed weight gain. Gray. Yeah, well, could be. KMO got puffy. Thank you. Yes, that's absolutely why I'm here on camera. Is to have people comment on my weight. Thank you. Nature bats last. The grift that keeps on giving. I'm guessing he's talking about Bitcoin, but I'm not certain. Right, nature, time. Sorry about being brutal. Hey, you know, if I couldn't take it, I would not be here in the studio. KMO hasn't banned me yet. You know, what's more, Les? I haven't been tempted to anytime recently. And Lessick says to Ben Rubber, if YouTube got shut down, how could I figure this stuff out again? Well, I think everybody here remembers a life before YouTube. What stuff are you hoping to figure out? KMO hasn't worked out in a while. Yeah, says Les. Well, not in a gym anyway. Don't figure out too much, Benny. Don't get too far ahead of yourself. Here's First, who says heavy topics. Les says KMO is awesome. Awesomely puffy. First of Incelmatics. Colin, are you familiar with Incelmatics? Colin shakes his head no. All right. First, you got to come on the live stream here sometime. I think Colin would enjoy your perspective. We'll see. All right. Well, I'm at the bottom of the chat, so now it's time for me to look at the camera. I guess that's my camera right now, and make an appeal. Check out the Geb webcomic. It's absolutely free. Geb.io, G-E-B-B, Golf Echo Bravo Bravo.io. But it would be awesome. It would be awesome if you would go to Amazon.com and type in Geb comic and find either the digital version. Actually, to get the print version, it's available at Geb.io. It's available at the website. But Comixology and Kindle versions are available on Amazon. If you were to buy one, it would help justify my continued employment in this project. I would appreciate it. All right, there are new messages. Let's see. First says, I do. This is an awesome setup. What time is it? Yeah, you need a long runway though first. We've only got like 20 minutes, 25 minutes left in this stream. But if you want to come on in some future week, I would love to have you. Les says, thank you for not being insulted too much. You're a good man. What to say about that? All right. Let's go to Bitcoin, shall we? So, Colin, if you would. There we are. Let's see. Found another one. Point out the realities of crypto and they start screaming that you're just jealous of their fake internet money. But remember, not a cult. So, Western Boris. Nope, it does not die even if it does not change a little bit. It is still the world's most decentralized and deflationary asset, and people want, with their free will, to use electricity to secure that asset. You just jealous. You know, at least it's not Y-O-U-R, just jealous. Anyway, you just jealous. I can get behind that. You just jealous because you have missed the bait. A little slip there, huh? Actually, that's not bait, that's biot. And you don't have the guts to brain to get in later stages too. So you feel need to try to lie it to death. But Bitcoin does not care about your FUD. You know, if you go to my my Patreon, I posted 1,000 words on FUD yesterday. My resolution is to write 1,000 words a day for the next, 19 days now. You need to do something 21 days in a row to make it a habit, and I want to make writing a habit. I know that I need to write, and I haven't been doing it. So yesterday I wrote a little over 1,000 words on FUD. Let's see, not a whole lot going on in the chat, so I'll actually read it. What the heck? Let's go. Nope. Up here. Patreon.com/ everybody should type this, KMO. Yes, yes. Here we are, 1,000 words on FUD. I've been taking in a lot of crypto material recently, both pro and con, but mostly pro. People who talk and think a lot about the price of crypto, as opposed to people who are building functional systems for doing things other than just making money with crypto tools, invoke two concepts, FUD and FOMO, as explanations for of the behavior of would-be investors and hodlers. When the price drops, the cause is FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt. Elon Musk tweeted something that spooked the noobs with paper hands, and CNBC stories validated the fear and set off a stampede. The faithless newcomers aren't manning the barricades like they should. They turned and ran at the first sight of the enemy. When the price climbs to unprecedented heights, the first response is not to say that the run-up is driven by new money infusions from people who don't know much about crypto, but who piled in because of FOMO, fear of missing out. No, the go-to explanation when the price is high is that Bitcoin is the future and that altcoins are creating an ecosystem for decentralized finance that will free us all from the tyranny of governments and banks. FOMO's explanatory power comes into play when the price drops. The newcomers were FOMO buyers, not visionaries like the early adopters and stalwart hodlers. I'm typing this in a Gmail composition window, and Gmail doesn't like my use of the word hodler. HODL is crypto speak. Originally it was a typo that stuck, but it has come to stand for hold on for dear life. Basically, you never sell your Bitcoin or other cryptocurrencies regardless of what the price does in the short term. Hodlers held their Bitcoin when it reached an all-time high of 20,000. Actually, I think it peaked at like 19,000. This is in late 2017. And insisted that they made the right move even after it fell back down to less than 9,000. When it hit 62,000 just a few weeks ago, they certainly felt justified. And even with Bitcoin in the mid 30K range, if you bought for less than $10,000, there's nothing to fear. It's still easy to dream that whatever amount you're holding will be worth a king's ransom when you need it to be. Still, when the price falls, it feels good to blame the FOMO-driven noobs who pissed their pants and sold at a loss when they failed their FUD saving throw. A little RPG gaming speak there. FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt. It's like water off a duck's back to a real player. An OG hodler is immune to FUD, but from my perspective, FUD is not a useful concept because it bundles three concepts that should remain separate. Fear sucks. Fear makes you stupid. By my lights, wallowing in fear is a sin. Master the ability to squash fear and shut it down with extreme prejudice. But uncertainty and doubt? They definitely have their uses. From my perspective, there's not much difference between uncertainty and doubt just being the lack of certainty, but we like lists of three, so if you only have two items and you want to coin an acronym, bust out your thesaurus and list one twice. There are some things that it just doesn't pay to question. These are axioms, the things which are self-evidently true and very useful. Without axioms, you have no basis for math or logic. According to Merriam-Webster, nothing can both be and not be at the same time in the same respect is an example of an axiom. That is the basis of logic. For some people, Bitcoin will be worth $1 million someday serves as an axiom, and it shouldn't. I don't think that Bitcoin will go to zero, but it could. Anyone who thinks that its rise to commanding heights is axiomatic is sorely lacking in doubt. Doubt is an essential nutrient. A shortage of it leads to a compromised cognitive immune system. Without it, we fail to question claims that absolutely deserve to be questioned. I'm all about doubt. That said, we can't doubt everything all the time. It doesn't pay to pause and question the solidity of the sidewalk with every step. If the last 897 steps held to the pattern of your not falling through it like it was made of mist, other things being equal, step number 898 is as good as guaranteed. An unreasonable amount of doubt is paralyzing, but surveying the crypto scene and the world generally, an excess of paralyzing doubt is not a big problem. Far from suffering from an overload of doubt, I think we need a lot more of it. While in principle, we should doubt everything that isn't an axiom, in practice, that's just not practical. We need to look for cues, signs that a bit of strategic doubt is in order. What are the signs we need to summon up? What are the signs we need to summon up some doubt? Fear is a good place to start. I remember being a young man and trying to talk to attractive women. Either my mind would go blank and I couldn't think of anything to say, or I would say absurd things that I would later torture myself for having uttered. My heart would race, my palms would sweat, and then someone gave me a bit of advice that really helped me out. When your body is in a fight or flight state, at the prospect of being rejected by a woman you want to make a connection with, just ask yourself, am I in physical danger? The answer is almost certainly no. And asking that question and getting that answer went a long way toward dialing down the physiologically inappropriate and unhelpful condition. When we're feeling fearful, it's good to shine the spotlight of doubt on the source of our fear. Another sure sign that a bit of doubt is in order is when someone is blowing smoke up your ass. It's good to feel accomplished, smooth, and skillful, but you shouldn't be feeling these things when you're walking in unfamiliar territory. If someone is telling you that you can't go wrong because you're so smart, perceptive, and cool, then a splash of doubt may help clear your vision. And then there's greed. Playing on a sucker's greed is an art form that grifters have spent centuries perfecting. Greed-inspired confidence is equivalent to fear in distorting our ability to appraise our circumstances. I don't have a mechanism that works in this instance as well as asking if I'm in physical danger when what I fear is social rejection, but I'll definitely be on the lookout for one. All right. So, is there a cognitive trick that cures fear, or not fear, greed? Is there anything you can do to shut down the greed and its perception and cognition killing effects? Let's see. Joshua says, I'm at like 400 words a day. Lol. CF Pup says, Geb on. Word. Ben Rubber says, that's great. What's your writing ritual? I end up taking triple the time I expect sometimes. I reread it and remember a point I forgot to plug into the thought. My writing ritual is, one, I always write in a Gmail composition window. Why is that? Because Gmail backs it up every few seconds. I never have to remember to save. If something goes wrong, I haven't lost anything. Or if I have, it's just a few words. Other than that, I don't have much of a ritual other than I just, write for a while and then I'll stop and I'll reread. For me, it's important to read aloud. Even if I'm in a public place, I won't read at volume like I just did, but I'll still, say the words to myself, but actually move my lips. I mean, to me, if you can't read a sentence out loud, it's too long, it's too complex, it needs to be 2 sentences or more. Let's see. Josh says, I just get it down. Storytelling is just getting it on paper. Yeah, I mean, that's got to be the first step, right? It doesn't have to be paper. It can be a screen. But if you don't get a first draft down, there's no revising it. Lessick says, Bitcoin is a joke. Well, what's the punchline? What's the twist? 140 words a day. Just do a tweet, KMO. Yeah, that'll add up. Let's see. CF Pup says, silver and gold. Silver and gold. Les says, quantum tech will theoretically change everything. Well, yeah, theoretically. CF Pup, good point. Ben Rubber says, I'd like to hear stories of your adventures on the fishing boat. Oh, my God. Whew. Save that in the holster for when you run out of content to play on the live stream. I could tell you about some fishing boat adventures. Let's see. John Krabs 67, who I don't recognize that handle, says, only those invested in crypto will be screwed. Crypto is nothing more than a Ponzi scheme. That is a respectable position. Thing is, Ponzi schemes can run for years and people make money at them. And, if you said that about Bitcoin, I wouldn't even offer any sort of argument. But I think there are newer tokens, like CF Pup could probably speak to this one. There's one called Theta, which is designed to facilitate video streaming. There's a lot of video streaming going on. If the Theta token and the Theta fuel really can help, keep streams from lagging, keep everything going in real time, no buffering, that's an actual useful function that it's performing. And if its value reflects the value of the function it provides, well, that's not a pyramid scheme. I mean, that's a product. That's a tool that performs a task for money. That's the economy, So Lesik says, Benny, before I get kicked/banned, I don't know why you think that. I just want to say you're a good man. Les, as far as I know. Now, if you start posting stuff that gets my videos taken down and gets, community content strikes against me, well, that'll be a different story, but that hasn't happened yet. At least, I don't know that it's been your fault when it has happened. All right. Oh, new messages. CF Pup says, there was a time when CMBS sounded like a good idea. CMBS. I'll have to look that up. I don't know that acronym right off the top of my head. Let's see. CMBS. Well, I still don't know what it stands for, but it's an ETF. It sells for $54.29. That's just a one-day chart. Let's look at it for 6 months. Whatever it is, it hasn't failed catastrophically. Oh, commercial mortgage-backed securities. Ugh. That's something that I would like to see actually crash and burn. The fact that it seems to be doing steady. Let's look at it for the past year. Still not down much. So maybe as a category, as a concept, commercial mortgage-backed securities is a bad idea. But this particular ETF is doing okay. ETFs and exchange-traded funds for you folks who are not investment junkies. CF Pup says, love my Theta. Here, let's look at the Theta price, shall we? See how it's doing. I cannot tell you off the top of my head what it is, but in the month of June, big things are expected from Theta. New functionality being added. Theta price chart, what do we got? All right, it's at $7.64. Down over the last month, but what isn't? So last year, late last year, like in October and December, it was selling for less than $1. So, being up around $12, $14, pretty good. Will it get back up there? Here's the thing. If you watch a lot of crypto and Bitcoin YouTube, one, there's a lot of people who are just, hold on, diamond hands, it's all coming back, there's just no seeming willingness to examine the possibility that maybe it's not coming back. But then other people are saying, hey, look, either this is a bearish moment in an otherwise bullish market and we're going to get back to the climb here pretty soon, or they say, hey, we might be entering a new bear market and it could last 2 or 3 years. And, if you're serious about this, if you're in for the long haul, well, just hold on and keep buying while it's low. That might be the case. I mean, this might be the beginning of a long bear cycle in crypto. But I don't remember who said this, and this was a great thing. I mean, this is something that to me indicated that this person had some moral fiber. They said, if we're entering into a crypto winter, then maybe you should stop thinking about it as an investment vehicle and start thinking about it as a tool that you can build with. He wasn't saying this in the usual way that this phrase is trotted out, but learn to code, learn to be a cryptocurrency developer. Build things, build systems with this tool that do something useful. Get into it that way. If you look at the big the big entrepreneurs, the big tech entrepreneurs that we celebrate, they built something new. They didn't just make an investment. They built Facebook or Amazon or Google or Apple. I mean, they built something. They made something. There was a thing that we have now that at one time didn't exist. And it didn't come into existence because somebody bought stock or they bought, an EFT or they bought crypto. They actually created a company. They hired people. They had meetings. They conceptualized. They thought, what can we do with this technology which will change people's lives for the better? Now, you could also say that they're villains, and there's an argument to be made, but they actually built something. And if we are in the midst of a crypto winter, or at the beginning of a crypto winter, actually demonstrating, like rolling up your sleeves and demonstrating that this technology is actually good for something, that would go a long way to ending the winter. First says, best red herring of our time. What have I missed? Let's see. Oh, okay. Commercial mortgage-backed securities, says CF first says, BlackRock buying up every home. Whole plebs are focused on crypto. Oh, while. I think he means while plebs are focused on crypto. Yeah, so during the pandemic, people couldn't pay their rent. They got really behind in the rent. For the while the government said, hey, you can't kick people out, but it didn't make landlords whole. So now a lot of small landlords, who just own one or two properties, those properties they're not making money for them. They're a drain on small landlords. And so the price, they're for sale and the price is low. And big corporations, most notably BlackRock, but there are others, are they're swooping in, they're buying up these rental properties at low prices, and, they're going to manage by algorithm. I was reading an article a couple of years ago now about using AI, companies like BlackRock. I don't know if it was BlackRock, but, very large landlords that own whole apartment buildings or, lots of different apartment buildings. They know the license plate number and they know the faces of all of their tenants, and they have cameras everywhere, and they have algorithms which just scrub through all of this footage, and they figure out, if there's a car parked outside the building regularly and the license plate doesn't match any of the tenants, then they can use analysis of, the times when they come and go, where they park, who they go in and out with, to figure out whose couch they're sleeping on. And then take action, either charge additional rent or, make the tenant kick them out, but we can't have people living there for free. Mom and pop landlords can't do that. Now, mom and pop landlords probably know if you have somebody sleeping on your couch, and maybe you asked them and maybe they said it's okay. But BlackRock, or companies like them, they're not going to deal with you as a human being. And they're not going to deal with you with human contact. They're going to deal with you algorithmically. So, other than just it being kind of gross, other than it being what looks like, poor financial management on the part of the federal government, but, really, if it benefits organizations like BlackRock, maybe it was intentional, right? Anyway, Ben Rubber says, Les, say ivermectin 3 times. That might do it. KMO, have you heard or seen Brett Weinstein's recent description of that situation? It's an easy, non-patented anti-parasite medication with good results. I did have a podcast conversation with Bob Brown about ivermectin. I have not heard Brett Weinstein's take on it, though. First says, best red herring of our time. Oh, the crypto and inflation sponge. CF Pup says, it is the stuff that the 2008 crisis was based on. Futures will do good, meaning real stuff, says Les. Ivermectin is anti-parasitical. KMO is right. Coding is the next big thing. It's the next thing. One of the YouTubers that I watch who's anti-crypto and anti-Bitcoin, I don't know his actual name, but he's an Asian guy. He's clearly not born here, but he's lived here a long time, so he's got an accent that he'll have till his death. But his channel is called Tech Lead, and he used to work at Facebook, Google, and Apple. So he's a rich guy, and he disdains crypto. And I was watching something that he put out yesterday, and he was saying learning to code is not necessarily going to get you a job in the future. That and the people who are actually doing coding, like the people who make a lot of money as software engineers, they're mostly not writing code. They're basically managers. They're managing people and projects, and they're doing Zoom call meetings, and they're basically they're office workers who lead teams of people. And the people actually writing the code might not even be employees. They might be contractors who are making very little. We've gotten to the point where there's so much code that already exists that if you understand it, you can just go to various code repositories and pull up a lot of code, stitch it together, or more and more algorithms do that for you. So it could be that learn to code as a way of making good money, that ship has sailed. I don't know that that's the case, but that's what this guy, Tech Lead, was saying. John Crab 67 says, if crypto goes bye-bye, then perhaps we can get out of this silicon shortage. And do we really need another form of money that adds our already overstressed power grid? I don't have time to get into that. There's 2 minutes left in the stream. I'm going to read everybody else's comments, and then we're going to have to say goodnight. But yeah, I will prepare. Maybe I'll write something on that. I can read it to you next time. Lesick says, by the way, Benny, well, if you're talking to each other, I'm not going to read that. Tech Lead says first, yeah, project managers make the money. There's no revenge of the nerd. Or it's already happened. Yeah. All right. We're going to leave it there. Thanks to Colin. Thanks to Fact TV for providing the space. Thanks to folks for showing up and making comments and asking questions and giving me something to jabber about. And we'll do it again next Tuesday. Jim, your ad attacker from the Attack Ads podcast, will be with me via Zoom next week. All right. Talk to you soon.